Eric, what about Julian Edelman? Called it a career with the Patriots, retired after he failed his physical, and that's a wrap. Won a Super Bowl MVP, was on a Super Bowl winning team 3 times. Regular season stats, not so good. Is he a Hall of Famer in your opinion?
I would imagine he's got to be deep in the discussions for Hall of Fame because of what he's done in the postseason. I mean, the guy averaged over 6 catches per game in the postseason.
Never made a Pro Bowl. Never was an All-Pro. How could he be a Hall of Famer, Eric? Come on, seriously.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if the Pro Bowl is
All-Pro.
be all
Never,
end all.
No All-Pro. Never an All-Pro. That's a Hall of Famer.
Well, you're looking at the success that New England has. How much credit would you give him for those successful years?
Let me ask you.
Was he just an irrelevant part?
No, Eric. I think you make a great point. You're going to help obviously make my point, which be, I think as fans we talk about stats or even catches. It's like all the little things. What's the most important down in football? Third down. And he and Wes Welker were dominant on third down. Why can't a slot wide receiver be in the Hall of Fame if you're the best slot wide receiver who makes the most impactful plays in a Super Bowl?
How come he? But if he did all that during his playing career, his numbers. There's so many other guys who played his position who have way. Hines Ward has way better statistics. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Okay, he won a Super Bowl MVP. He helped the Steelers during their runs and was a great player. He's not in the Hall of Fame. And here's the other caveat that kills me. He also got suspended for PED use, and we vilify baseball players, but Edelman, nobody even mentions it. Why is it okay for him to do PEDs, get busted, and you guys want to send him to the Hall of Fame? I think that's BS.
I don't think I'm necessarily saying he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I don't know when he'll get in. I do think he has to be in the discussion at some point because of his body of work. I mean, the Hall of Fame is based off of your body of work, and he's had tremendous impact on a team that's had tremendous success. And a lot of his impact was in the most crucial moments. Do you value the performance in those moments? Is that special or is it not special? Is it unique or is it not unique? To me, I think it's unique.
Eric, great stuff, man. Thanks so much for joining us.
Eric, thank you. You were my coffee this morning. I'm pumped up after talking to you.
You should call me every morning then, Rob, because we need to get you more pumped up.
Yes, I love it. Thank you, Ethan.
Thanks, Eric Mangini,
Appreciate
former NFL head coach and
guys.
TV analyst. I actually think, Rob, you made in one remark, you made the argument that's going to keep Julian Edelman out of the Hall of Fame, and I don't think it has anything to do with his play.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're buying it, what I said to you?
No, I knew that. I mean, like, look, if it's a 50-50 guy and he got caught with PEDs, and look, could you make the excuse? It's late in his career. You know, he's trying to get back on the field. Like, fine, but he got caught with it, and, you know, he popped positive. And it would be very close, and he probably doesn't get in under reasonable circumstances. And then, you know, the positive PED test, I don't think he gets in. But I think the part that many people miss on is all of the other things that help you win are the reason that Julian Edelman, based on his play, would belong into the Hall of Fame. Like, the more you coach, the more you play. If you've played, you understand that there are guys that, and Draymond Green is a perfect example. You know, do I think Draymond Green, you can put him on any team in the NBA, he's going to average 25 points? No. But, okay, and so if that's what signifies an all-time grade to you, he's never going to match up to that. But considering what the Golden State Warriors will need to get there again, the reason they were a dominant team, he was as important a part of it as Steph was, as Clay was, as Kevin Durant was. There's no question in my mind. And it's not the scoring. It's not statistical rebounding. It's all of the other little things that you do. And for whatever reason in basketball, we seem to get that more than we do in football.
Yeah, I don't think he ranked. There's so many other players, Doug. I hear your point, but his body of work during the regular season is not good enough to consider him one of the all-time greats. It's not the Hall of Very Good. This is me. I'm a Baseball Hall of Fame voter. If there's a debate about your career, you're not a Hall of Famer to me. Okay.
No,
when I say Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Ken Griffey Jr., I'm not hesitating. I'm not going, yeah, well, that to me is where the greatest of great players should be. Not, well, he did make that one catch in the Super Bowl. Yeah, he did win a Super Bowl MVP despite not having a touchdown in that game. Yeah, those guys to me should go to the Hall of Very Good. That's just the way I approach it. I think it should be the best of the best, and Julian Edelman is not the best of the best.
Okay, again, that to me is a bit of a different argument than the one that most people make. I agree with you. The Hall of Fame should be the all-time greats, right? And to be an all-time great, you have to have been the best at your position for at least a year, if not a couple of years. I think my argument would be, is there a slot wide receiver in the NFL? And to me, it'd be Wes Welker ahead of Edelman because he was far and away the best slot wide receiver in the league for a couple of years and maybe the best that there's ever been. He was the best option route runner, third down wide receiver in the NFL for a good 4 years there. Mm-hmm. Edelman did a lot of other things. He was also Welker's backup for a while. So I agree with you what Hall of Fame should be. But what they've become is you have the uber elites. It's like, look, we'll talk about this with Frank Isola. Jordan is going to present Kobe in the Hall of Fame, right? Mm-hmm. Like nobody's going to argue Kobe belongs in the Hall of Fame. But there's lots of other guys in the Basketball Hall of Fame who are really, really good. But like, are you really gonna put him in? It's like, I get it. Tracy McGrady could really score. His teams didn't get out of the first round.
He wouldn't get a vote
playoffs.
from me. I think that. First of all, I think the NBA, Doug, should have its own Hall of Fame, and that's no disrespect. I've been to the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield. I was there a few times when people got in, and, it's a great honor and all that, and I'm not dissing the Basketball Hall of Fame. But
yes,
the NBA should have its own. Well, because it factors in too many things, like your college career, and if that's the case, Christian Laettner should be in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Christian Laettner was a great college basketball player, maybe not the greatest NBA player, or not the greatest NBA player, but from that, if you're going by that criteria, and they've put people in who are still coaching and still coaching, which is strange. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I don't like about it because you should be retired before they honor you. But yeah, I have an issue with a lot of it because it's longevity and all kinds of other things. Tracy McGrady, for as great of a scorer as he was, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Well, there is a college basketball Hall of Fame. The basketball Hall of I don't think the NBA needs to get in the business of their own Hall of Fame, right? But I agree with you on Christian Laettner. I think he'll be in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, and I think eventually he'll be in the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame as well.
But he was also on the Dream Team. I'm just saying, like, if you add that up, he didn't do much, but he was on that team.
He was on it because they had to have one college player, and he was the best. He was most accomplished college player,
right,
by a long shot. That was available, right? But your argument is in fact valid in that case. I think Edelman. Part of it is he didn't play. Everybody does the Hines Ward thing. Like, he didn't play nearly as much as Hines Ward. Like, it's just not. I mean, he basically played 7 years. He was a backup for 4 years, and then the last 7 years, like, you can't compare with Hines Ward. But I do think that Hines Ward is another guy who he went from being an outside wide receiver to a slot guy, and his blocking, the other little things that he did helped you win football games. And that's the whole idea of it, is to help you. Who cares what your stats are? Did you help our team win the game? Yeah, okay, maybe you didn't have – maybe you can't take the top off of defense.
So if that's the case, then Calvin Johnson shouldn't be in. He He didn't help them
Calvin
win.
Johnson was so
Oh, wait a minute,
incredibly
but you
dominant.
you said you don't care about stats. You just said, well, I don't care about stats. Did you help my team?
No,
Did
I
you
don't
help the
think it's
team
an
win?
either. I don't think it's an either or argument. I think anybody would say Calvin Johnson's a Hall of Famer.
Okay,
I think
how many
anybody
how many stats did Calvin Johnson get in meaningful games in his NFL career?
No, I'm listening. I know this is playing to your. It's like a fastball down the pipe to you. I mean, the year he set the record for receiving yards in a season, they won 4 games.
Thank you.
Right, so they were almost all meaningless stats. It doesn't stop Calvin Johnson from being an incredible player.
I agree. I watched his career again. You know, I spent 20 years in Detroit. I watched Calvin. He was incredible as a receiver. I'm just saying that you need to look at a lot of things before you determine, like where he fits in, under what situation was he playing. When Doug, you know this as a former athlete. Games where, I remember Lloyd Vaught. Remember him, right? Yeah. Piled up stats with the Clippers, right? And then wound up, and that's no knock on Lloyd Vaught. He's playing. The games didn't matter. They weren't going anywhere, but he piled up stats. A lot of guys, when you're not playing in games that don't matter, could pile up stats. And I think you got to be careful about that. That's my issue with Matthew Stafford, is that the guy was the first overall pick, played 12 years. Doug, one time, where you rise up and win a game for your team that you need, even though the team's not that good. I've seen great players do that, and I didn't see Stafford do that in Detroit. So I just look at those things. I'm a stickler. I'm a hard voter. A lot of people would be mad if they looked at my ballot, because I just don't believe everybody should be rubber stamped into the Hall of Fame.
No, I'm with you. Rob Parker, Doug Gottlieb in for Dan, the Danettes. This is the Dan Patrick Show on Fox Sports Radio. Like, I'll use it. My brother's been a college basketball coach for 25 years. And I'll never forget, he got the assistant job. He was at San Diego State when Steve Fisher first got there. He was there for 8 years. And they became a big power program in the Mountain West Conference. And he left to go to the Pac-10, now the Pac-12, and coach at Cal. And when he got to Cal, his first order of business was to go find a point guard. And so he went to a place called Finley Prep. And Finley Prep at the time had Tristan Thompson. They produced star after star after star. And he went, he's like, who should I offer? And the assistant coach at the time said, the Mexican kid with the ponytail. And he's like, are you kidding me? He's awful looking. He's like, yeah, but he wins every game. Literally every game. And he said, here's the crazy part. Somebody wants to fight him on the other team every game, and he just keeps kind of playing.
Right.
And the kid's name is Jorge Gutierrez. If you go back and track, Jorge became Pac-12 Player of the Year, started 4 years at Cal, and then played in the NBA. He's still kind of bounced around. He's played in a bunch of NBA teams. And Jorge's gift was there was nothing special about his jump shot, about his passing, whatever. He just knew how to win games. He was tough as hell. He guarded his guy. He scored when he needed to. He passed when he needed to. He's just tougher than a $2 steak. And those are the guys that help you win basketball games. Those are the guys that help you win football games. And it's really hard to explain to somebody statistically that, yeah, we got this guy and he puts up 25 a night. But let me tell you about the guy who actually helps us win games, and that's this guy. And that's where I think he falls.
That's fair. I just and there's a place for that guy, and I appreciate that guy, and I totally get it. But he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame.